Welcome to Conversations with Zapheria. Come take your seat on the virtual couch with me, and today we're going to talk about the Blue Diamond Souls, and we're going to talk about high vibrational collectives, and also we're going to talk about why right now, over the past 12 months, the children who are probably around about under 8, things are starting to shift and change for them. They may be acting and behaving differently. So there's lots I'd love to share with you in this session around that. So first of all, for the last around about 8 years now, 7 to 8 years, the Blue Diamond Souls and the other high vibrational collectives have been born here in human form in large scale. So before that, there had been some front runners, some early runners, so to speak, that were kind of coming here and I guess exploring, checking things out, preparing. But very much over the last 8 years, there has been a large influx of these souls, these high vibrational collectives. Actually, recently I inquired and asked, what would be the percentage of children that are being born right now that are Blue Diamond Souls and high vibrational collectives? And it came through as 66%. So it's a pretty large percentage of the children that are being born right now have this difference to them. And so it's important for us to start to understand, to see, to respect what those differences may be in these children, because they need some slightly different parenting and they just need to be understood a little bit more. So for a high vibrational collective or for a Blue Diamond Soul, they are more sensitive. So actually a lot of them are considered to be autistic or ADHD or on the spectrum in some way, or have various different neurodivergences. Now, that is not necessarily uncommon in general, but there are a lot more children over the last 8 years who are coming through with those types of symptoms, I guess you could call it, or those types of behavioral differences. Now, actually, for me, which will probably end up being another episode, that's something that I've been exploring within myself, is also that I do have some non-typical parts of myself, I guess you could say, like the ADHD or on the spectrum side of things, and I am a Blue Diamond Soul. So it's helping me to understand a little bit about these children and a little bit more about what life is like for them. So I'll speak into this part first, and then I'll start to share into, if you want to keep listening, I'll start to share into why the children who's kind of 8 and under are being really impacted lately. So these children are more sensitive to life in general. So things even like how lighting is set up, how music is played, being around new people that they don't know, that they haven't met before, being in new spaces and new environments can be extremely unsettling. And also the schooling system doesn't really work for or suit these high vibrational beings. One of the other things that quite often people will notice is that they see things that other people don't see. They know things, they hear voices, they're aware of different realms. They're not necessarily singularly living here in the 3D realm like most people are, and a lot of us are kind of journeying between 3D, 5D, and some slightly above. But they are dancing multiple realms at the same time. So they can actually see, just like they can see you and me, they can see and hear other beings in other dimensions. So they may speak about their friends. And I guess, when I was young, that was considered to be imaginary friends that we were seeing. But what really is happening is that these children are seeing part of their soul family, or they are seeing different dimensions. And if they're seeing their soul family, then it's really best for us to encourage them to continue with that relationship. Now, I understand for parents that can be a little confusing, probably a little confronting, and how do we know which ones to encourage and which ones not to encourage? Because if they are seeing different dimensions, or if they are journeying in any way in the astral, obviously there might be beings that we don't really want them to be becoming too close of friends with. But it's quite easy, actually. So any parents who are having those concerns or those fears, just simply ask your children in a really I would suggest wait until you're able to hold a really open and loving energy space for them, not a judgmental, making them wrong space, but simply a inquiring oh, right. So can you tell me more about that? Who are those people that come and visit you? What do they look like? What do they feel like? What do they have to say to you? How do you feel when those friends come? What does it make you feel in your tummy? Because for some children, it might be what makes me feel really good. And for some children, it might be actually, it makes me feel really scared, and they feel bad. And if they feel bad, then simply we can encourage, well, if they feel bad, you can ask them to go away. You can let those people know that you're seeing that you don't want to talk to them and that they should go away. So we're really always handing the power back to the child, and we're asking with absolute inquiry, not with any judgment and not with making anything wrong, just open discussion, because we want to encourage them to be open and to be able to share what's happening for them. And if they share it, well, it makes me feel good, they're my friends, I like them. Amazing, fantastic, I'm so happy that you have friends. Maybe you can tell me more about when they're here with you. So we start to encourage, right? Or if your children are starting to know things, how did they know that, I don't know, someone was just about to come to the house unannounced and they already know it? They're aware of things that we are not, and they're highly sensitive to energy and vibration. So if you're noticing all of these things in your children, it's quite possible that they are a high vibrational collective or a blue diamond soul. For me, I'm currently aware of 5 other high vibrational collectives as well as the blue diamond souls. And at this point in time, I choose to continue speaking for the blue diamond souls, being a voice of the blue diamond souls. And I will continue to create my relationship with these other high vibrational collectives that are coming, and I guess really create with them whether they're ready for me to be their voice as well. But I am highly aware of them at the moment. So we have at least 6, and that's just the ones that I'm aware of that are coming in right now. So I want to speak into what is happening this year, kind of in the last about 12 months or so, what's happening that is creating a shift in the children that were already here. So probably, like I said, up to about 8, it may be older. So you may have older children that are having similar things happening. But what's happening that's now making them more sensitive? They also could be doing things like seeming like they're not really there with you, kind of just wandering off into other worlds and maybe not even really hearing you when you speak to them. It seems like they've just tapped out and gone somewhere else. They could be having really strange behaviors, like movements of their body, or moments where it's a little bit confusing, is it really them that's doing this behavior, or is there something else impacting this? You would know it as a parent, you would see it if it's happening to your child. So what's going on is, for the last 12 months or so, the Blue Diamond Souls and high vibrational collectives that are being born here are of an even higher vibrational frequency. So previously they had been 6th to 12th dimension. What's coming through right now, there's still a lot of 6th to 12th, but there also are some 12th to 27th dimension, and there are a lot more. I know definitely for myself, the number of incredibly powerful women that I know that are all having children around the same period of time is mind-blowing, absolutely incredible. Obviously, because we've been in a lockdown experience, it's probably more likely that there's more children being born because people are at home. But this is different. This is where I'm seeing leaders of communities and women that I would just consider to be powerful in their own right, who are all having babies at the same time. And so when I've tuned in and asked about this is a movement that is happening. Whilst we're in this intensity, whilst we're in this lockdown, whilst we're in this squeeze right now, there was a point where humanity made a decision. And it wasn't, necessarily a conscious decision for each of us, but there's a decision that was made. There was a point that was made. We had the choice of either we go in one path and basically we head towards, spoke about this in my book, The Blue Diamond Souls, Calling in the Next Generation, that we were heading towards our eventual demise, is the exact words that came through from the Blue Diamond Souls in that book. But we had a moment where we were able to make the choice, is that the path that we are going to take, or are we going to take the path to evolve? And we made the choice to evolve. Now, that doesn't mean that it's comfortable. Actually, what that does mean is that it's uncomfortable. If we made the choice to continue, in their words, to our eventual demise, it would just be comfortable. We would just keep on doing what we were doing and kind of being numb and really destroying the environment and destroying ourselves and just eventually manage to extinct ourselves. But instead, we chose to be uncomfortable, which certainly has been uncomfortable for the last 18 months. But we chose to be uncomfortable. We chose to take the path of evolving, of shifting, of changing the frequency of humanity. And so when that choice was made, these high vibrational collectives came. That's what they've been waiting for. That is their mission, is to support us as we shift and we change right now, as we are birthing in a new earth together. And so when we made that decision, they were ready and waiting, and in they came. So that is why we're having this big influx right now, and they're coming in together because they need each other. They need each other to really be able to make the shift and the change that they're here to make. So that's why we're seeing so many. But then why is there so many that are coming in impacting other children? Like, what's that about? So if the high vibrational collectives that were born before were of 6th to 12th dimension, but living in a 3D reality, 3D to 5D reality is what they were living in. So it's been quite uncomfortable for them throughout their entire life so far, needing to live at the vibration that we were at. So actually, I really feel it was a very brave choice of them to come when they came, because they've needed to be so uncomfortable for so many years. And then if the ones that are coming through right now, some of them are a 12th to 27th dimension, what is happening is that as each child that is born right now in that frequency, as they're born, they're activating different DNA-like codes and different portals that are impacting the children that were already born. So all these codes were already here within these children, just waiting to be activated. And now they're being activated. So they're waking up more to who they are. They're waking up more to their gifts. They're waking up more to understanding that, oh, that's right, I'm here for something. We are here to create a vibrational shift together. And so because of that, it's different for them, and they may be behaving incredibly differently. For some of them, it might be fine. For some of them, it might be really uncomfortable. So you might be noticing some very strange behavioral shifts, and they don't know what's happening yet on a conscious level, but something's shifting. And so that's going to continue to happen at least for the next 12 months, as there is still a lot more to be brought in, a lot more to be born, a lot more to be conceived, and a lot more to be born. And also, as the children that have been born this year, as they start to grow out of, like, they're in their absolute infancy, obviously, as they start to grow and they start to remember more of who they are and activate more of their own codes, it will continue to awaken and activate all the others that are here. So if you are seeing shifts and changes in your children at the moment, be prepared that this is probably the beginning. It's probably not something that's just going to happen overnight. It's probably not an awakening of they're just going to be a bit uncomfortable for a little while and then they're going to be fine. They are going to go through a shift, and some of that for them will be quite uncomfortable. So then how do we support them through that, right? How do we hold them through that shift and change that is happening? And also for parents, how to hold, and people who are around these children, how to hold yourself around them as well. Because obviously, if the children around you are acting and behaving really differently, then that's going to impact you and the way that you are and the way that you're needing to hold and be around those children. So what are some of the ways then that you can support them? Well, pretty much don't judge what's going on for them as best as you possibly can. Now, I understand it's going to be uncomfortable. That might not be easy. So when you see them doing strange behaviors, as best as you can is manage your own emotion around that, because they're highly sensitive to emotion as well, and they feel you. So as much as you can, look, we are human, so don't shame yourself when you don't. As much as is possible in that moment is bring yourself into center whilst they go through this shift and change, and just hold space for them. Be present. Be in love with them. You know, it's so interesting. I just had this flash, this memory of a video that I saw once. It was shared years and years and years ago on Facebook, and it was a child who was having a massive tantrum. We've all seen children have massive tantrums, like a massive royal tantrum. And I'm assuming it was the father, I don't know, just sat there and just sat through it. And I thought, wow, I don't know many humans that could, and especially if it was a parent, that could just sit through that storm and not tell them to stop or get angry or get upset themselves or not get caught in that. And there were two things that happened for me. One is like, oh my gosh, imagine if we were all able to do that. And the second thing was, oh my gosh, I hope that other parents who are seeing that don't now feel shamed because they're not able to hold that, because I don't think there's many of us that can. But what it did show me, and what it did really enlighten, I guess, for me, and it is something that's coming through with these children, is as best as we can in any given moment is to just be with them and love them. That's it. It's as simple as that. You can almost kind of hear and feel parents taking a breath. I'm going to sneeze. Woo! Excuse me, I just sneezed. To anyone who is watching the video rather than listening to this on podcast, we've edited out me sneezing, but I would have looked a little bit strange as we kind of edited back in. So what I was saying is that really what we need to do is simply love them and to just continue to sit in love. And as I was saying that, it's like I can feel some of the parents kind of take a sigh of relief of like, oh, is that all I have to do? Oh, okay. Oof, yeah. And sometimes loving them might look all different ways, but just keep showing up and loving them as they are, and loving them as best you can, and doing everything you possibly can in that given moment to be open and inquisitive and ask them questions, and don't make them wrong. Don't judge them for what is shifting and changing for them. Ask them what they need. They know what they need. This is the thing. We kind of think children are, I don't know, I don't want to say stupid, but like we think that they're behind, that they don't understand. We think that there's a lot that they don't understand. We don't really have much of an understanding that they're incredibly tuned in, probably actually more tuned in often than we are, and they do know exactly what it is that they need if we can simply just ask them. So what do you need in this moment? What can I do for you right now? What is going to make you feel safe right now? That's it. And just trust, love, and asking the question is all that they need. Simple, right? And keep on witnessing as these changes happen. So these children are here for something great. We are in, I keep saying it and I really mean it, we are in such intense times. But these children are coming as our teachers. These children are the ones that are coming to awaken us. These children are the ones that are literally, quite literally, birthing us into a new earth. Funny, right? Because it's like, well, they're being conceived and they're being birthed into the world. And as they are being birthed into the world, they are literally birthing us as humanity into a new earth. So they're incredibly important. So everything we can do to support them. So really what I want to kind of wrap up with here There's two things I want to wrap up with. One is if you have any questions or there is anything that you would like me to approach in these podcasts, please, you are always welcome to reach out and ask me questions. You're always welcome to reach out and ask for clarification. You're also welcome to reach out and say, could you please do like an episode on this? Could you please answer this question? This is what I'm here for, is as their voice, I'm here to be able to provide the answers as best as I possibly can, or as much as they will allow me to give in any given moment. But what I want to start to wrap up with here in closing is saying, even though this 18 months has been really intense, and for some people it has been beyond brutal. For some people it's been amazing. But for some people it's been really so incredibly difficult, nearly soul-breakingly difficult. I want to remind you that this isn't going to last forever. It's going to get more uncomfortable for a while. It is. I'm going to be honest with you. It is going to get more uncomfortable for a while. But we are in this amazing, powerful, beautiful, intense shift and a change. And there is light at the end of the tunnel, so to speak. You know, I've shared this before, but I'm going to share it again. Is like, what is the difference between death and between birth? And what is the similarities? When we die, from people who have had near-death experiences, what they tell us is that they go through a dark tunnel and that there is light at the end of the tunnel. And they know that that takes them to the other side. When we are born, not for every single one of us, but when we are born, if we were born in a more natural way, we will come through the cervix, the dark tunnel, and there will be light at the end of the tunnel. It's one and the same. What can sometimes feel like a death is in fact actually a birth. So where we've been going through this period of time that it feels like, doesn't even just feel like, parts of us, parts of our lives, parts of our experiences, parts of the way we were doing things have had to die, and a new way of living is being born. And it won't happen overnight, but it is happening. So thank you for joining me on this episode, and I look forward to seeing you on the next.